Hey guys, I had a boat brought into me the other day, and he's complaining that his Livescope wasn't working. He wasn't able to pick up his bait and everything. So I told him I'd look at it and see what else we needed to work on his boat. So let's get into this thing. Maybe you can see in the background, perhaps, what his problem might be. Let me show you a little closer. If you guys ever seen transducers, you might notice that it's probably a little bit off. Like, for example, it is mounted upside down. So real quick fix on that one. Whoops, sorry about the camera. So quick fix is going to be just simply undo the knob. Okay, pretty much what happened is the whoever installed it, this is a brand new boat, when they put the Livescope transducer on, they just simply put it on upside down. So what we need to do is flip it around like this, get the cable up, put it on the mount, line up this second mark here. I don't know if you can see that, but it's in the manual. So what we're doing is setting this up for forward mode. And that's all to fix the problem. It's really, really simple. It's just something that's really worth checking, but I can't believe that a reputable dealer would have done this. I mean, this is just absolute beginner's stuff. Okay, a couple other things, and I'll show you in a moment, that we need to fix with it is that one, he has his 360 on there. Problem is if he gets any rough water at all, even slight, 1 foot, 2 foot waves, this pops out of water, so now he's losing his 360. What I'm going to do is I'm going to move this down to roughly about 2 inches from the top of this transducer, which should give enough clearance on it. You'll still get a little bit of ghosting on the 360 from the transducer, but it should be in the water a whole lot more. Okay, so that's one of the things I'm going to fix. The other thing, if you look at it, let's look at it from this angle. Okay, hopefully that will show. See what we got. Yeah, if you look at it, the transducer is slightly bent forward, so it's not really parallel or perpendicular to the, or it should be really, this line here should be parallel to the trolling motor head, or it should be basically perpendicular to the trolling motor shaft. We've got to fix that. There's just a bunch of little things like that that just have to be tweaked. Let's go ahead and let me pull this off the mount here temporarily. Let's get back into this. So one of the first things I want to do is that I like to do on trolling motors, and this is something that Jason from Minn Kota showed me years and years ago at the service trailers when they still showed up at the Toyota stuff. What he did is to keep this from banging on your fiberglass. Basically this over time will bang, and also it gives you a little bit further reach. What I'm going to do is I'm going to simply put a screw here with a black cap on it. And what that'll do is it'll keep it up. It doesn't go through the plastic side plates on the trolling motor, but it just makes everything a lot simpler to use. Okay, so that's one of the things I'm going to do. Okay, here's the little insert or our cover or cable holder on the trolling motor. You can see all I did is once you have the cover off, then you just simply push this and snap it shut, and should be good to go. So really simple. All right, the other thing we're going to do, we're going to add some clips to this. Okay, and so basically just to keep it in place, just in case these things fall off, because these are actually pretty nice cable covers. Okay, hopefully you can see that, and they come from Ranger. Be nice to be able to find a source of that, but no luck so far. So anyway, there's a bunch of little things I'm going to do, but one thing that we really have to fix is, it might be a little hard to see, but if you look at where the cables go down in there, okay, let me try to get the shadow out of the way. Now it's a shadow on there. If you see the cables here, they come down. There's a little slot that Ranger puts on these R boats, and what happened is that they put way too many cables in that little slot there. The other issue we have, I don't know if it's easy to see, but we'll look at it from this angle. This cable here, which is the trolling motor power cable, is pretty tight under there, under the bracket itself. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some sheathing on it. And another thing we want to do to this is that because this is a triple mount, he's got basically, there's a Garmin up here, Lowrance, and a Humminbird unit. If you look at this Humminbird unit, you can see it wobbles. Or actually, if I'm just, what I'm doing is I'm simulating wave action. You can see the thing moving. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put something to stabilize that under that basic cushion. There was an old pad made years and years ago that we used on the Ram mounts. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna modify that. I got one of those laying around. I'm gonna modify that to go under here to keep that from bouncing around. We just wanna make sure it doesn't hit the glass, fiberglass coat, okay? So that's some of the things we're going to do on this valve. All right, so we're going to get started on this. So since I've already fixed the major problem, we're going to go take care of a whole bunch of little minor stuff. Here's a little better view of that issue with the cables. You can see where they go under there. You can kind of see the marks on the cable here. Get a pen here. See, we're starting to mark up the cable here, and this one looks like it's compressed a little bit. Okay, here's the panel pulled up. Okay, hopefully it's actually recording this time. This is the connector and the NEMA connector for your panel, touch panel, which is the new Ranger touch panel. Looks like everything's run off a NEMA bus, which is kind of cool. These are your fuses here. Shows the 360, the ACS, the Garmin, the Solex fuses here. That's kind of okay, but they're using non-waterproof connectors, which I'm not a fan of on boats. There really isn't a lot of room in here, but this cable cluster is just a mess. So let's look at these cables we're looking at before. It looks like with this panel, if I take and notch that right here rather than cutting it, it actually might work out pretty good. So, but you can already see, I don't know if you can see it in this light or not. There you go. See, those cables are already starting to notch up. So we got to be real careful about that. Okay? All right. So here's the modification I just made on that front panel. You can see a couple notches right here. Those are for the cables. This one is for the Livescope cable. This one is for the 360 cable. That way it'll let me have clearance where we need it. Okay? Okay, what I did is I did a little bit of rewrapped. I wrapped the 360 cables together, and they're tie wrapped directly to the power cord for the trolling motor, but I put the Livescope cable, which is this cable right here, on its holders. They already had it on the holders, but they had everything tie wrapped together. I tie wrapped them separately to keep any compression off of this cable. Okay. So what I've got is I'm going to put the 360 cable in this slot right here. The Livescope cable is already there. I'm running the power cord for the 360 down this cable. I'm going to put a piece of a trolling motor jacket on there. I'll show you that in a moment. And then once I've done that, then everything will be nice and tidy in here. What it is, I rerouted the trolling motor power cable over here, okay, to try to get it out of the way. I ran the antenna cable, which is this cable right here. This one goes up into the bow for the Ghost trolling motor cable. Okay, there's that. I also tied down the NEMA cables, okay, to get all that cleaned up. I also cleaned up a lot of the boat cables, basically the Ranger cables. So now what I've got to do is I'm going to take and tie wrap the power cable back, which is this cable here. And the other thing I did, I don't know if you may not have noticed, but I took and completely redid all the connectors on these power cables. The original power cables had the nylon connectors on them, no heat shrink, not really that good for marine type applications. So what I did is I did my standard crimp, using the Anchor connectors, using the heat shrink, do all that. So all right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get going. I'm gonna take and finish routing the power cable on this control line here using that trolling motor jacket. And this is one I just picked this up on Amazon. It's a low end one, but it'll do its job. What I wanted was a little bit of neoprene here, compression, to go under that mount to keep this trolling motor cable here from having this happen in the future. So, okay. So now I'm looking at this cable. This is the Charlie Winter power cable. You can see right now it's actually starting to wear lines to it. See the line right there? See the line right there? So it's actually starting to wear through this cable. Hopefully you can see it. It's kind of hard to. There we go. So there it is. See the cables there. So we gotta do something about that. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some of this 1/8 inch sticky back rubber padding on the back of this mount here, and if you look closely you can actually see where that cable is currently rubbing it. So we're going to put the rubber strips up through here to hopefully try to minimize that. But I think part of the problem may be this mount is a little bit low. Okay, here are those rubber strips attached in. I just put 2 in here. Like I say, this is 1/8 inch. It's pretty heavy duty. What I did earlier is I took some isopropyl alcohol, cleaned this off so it had a good surface to stick to. So we're going to put that in a few minutes and see how everything works. Okay, the bow's all done. If you look under here, it might be a little hard to see with the lighting. What I did is I put this webbing on every pair of cables. Lowrance has 2 because they're split fairly far apart. So the Garmin's got 1, Hummingbird's got 1, Lowrance has got 2. So that's the way that one's done. If you look over here, this is the new place where I put the cables through, and you can kind of see there's a little bit of a notch. Let me see if I can stand up here and get a little better. Okay. All right. So hopefully you can see that. There's where the cables are right now. We'll have to see if we can lighten that up. But they're fitting in the notches. The other thing I did is I put this troll jacket, I cut 1 in half, put it under this mount here, and I'll also put some rubber padding in there. And hopefully that'll take care of the problem. If it doesn't, I gave the customer the other half of the jacket to say put it on there, cut 6 inches or 12 inches off, put that on there and then let it go. So these are the cable routings. What I did is I moved the 360 is now down about approximately 2 inches from the top of the Garmin. Panoptic's transducer. I also lined this transducer up. I also noticed that the screws are a little bit tight, so that must have been the cause of the movement in that one before. We also added some tie wraps on these cable sheaths. That way we're trying to keep this thing all ready to go. Okay. So the last little bit of hardware, what I call hardware changes, is on the Garmin. I added the what's called a bonding wire or ground wire, earth wire, that to the box. That will help improve signals. I've seen that on Active Target. It also works as well on the Garmin. So it basically connects from there to the fuse panel below. I don't know if you can see that, but I use a 14 gauge or heavy gauge wire to do that. So I appreciate you guys watching this. Please like and subscribe the video and subscribe to the channel. Thank you.